Welcome back to the Purple Goldfish podcast. Stan Phelps here with Jack Campese.
How you doing?
So, lagniappe is a Creole word.
Right.
And when I think Cajun, I think jambalaya.
Jambalaya, right.
And jambalaya has a lot of different things going on in there, but it's one tasty meal.
Right.
So
it's always it's the ingredients always differ, right?
Right.
So it's kind of whatever you have left you throw into the pot. So it's a lot of different things. It really constitutes jambalaya.
So in a lot of ways, this whole purple goldfish thing is a jambalaya of different concepts, ideas, techniques. So you being the head chef,
or so,
have shared the ingredients with me. So I want to talk about each ingredient.
Okay.
So the first ingredient is a healthy dose of differentiation.
Differentiation, right. So how do you, I mean, at the end of the day, you have to stand out from your competition. And, we've talked about it before. Everything is really becoming a commodity. So how do you give that little added value?
Well, it's almost like Mac. Mac differentiates itself with its design, its ease of use.
Right. So yeah, so what are the little things that you're providing that makes you stand out from your competition?
All right. So we've got a pinch of differentiation and then a sprig of word-of-mouth stimulant.
Right. So we've talked about too that when you do lagniappe correctly and you create something that's unexpected, that's relevant, when you give that to your customer, it's something that they're going to hopefully want to talk about, and so and share with other people, and that gets people talking about your brand or your product or your service, and hopefully gets people to walk through the door.
And it can be anything from I'm asking you where I should go to get something, or who I should use for a certain service, or it could just be I had such a great experience that I'm going to update my Facebook status,
right?
And then suddenly 500 people know about this, or suddenly I'm advertising for somebody. And then the reverse is true, that if you're not doing these things,
right,
you might get some negative.
Right. You want to counter against just the negative that's going to be out there anyway. You got to give people good things to talk about. And I think what's really worthwhile to mention, that there's a difference between the people that walk through your doors because of word of mouth than somebody who just walks in off the street. And it's proven that customers that walk through your door because of word of mouth, they're going to be worth 2 times the lifetime value of a regular person that just walks in off the street. So think about that.
Huge.
That is huge. And they've also studied it further to say...
They must walk in with expectations then.
Right. They probably have a frame of reference.
And then you live up to it.
Right.
And they're like, yeah.
Right.
He is great.
Right.
This is a good cookie.
Exactly. And then the other thing which is interesting, they say that people that also walk through the door because of word of mouth, they will bring 2 times the amount of people through the door than somebody who just walks in off the street. So
people love to be the person who hipped everybody to the good thing.
Right. And so I really think that as a business you need to pay attention to word of mouth because of that multiplier effect. It's huge.
I told 2 friends, and they told 2 friends, and so on, and so on.
And so on and so forth.
And we also need in this jambalaya a healthy dose. Healthy. Liberal. Customer retention. Yeah. So this is humongous.
Right.
Because, getting somebody in the door once is nice, but then when you're a person towing the bottom line and you're like, okay, so what are my numbers this month? What are my repeat business is huge. It's got to be, I need a base. And
Right.
if you don't retain customers, suddenly your pipeline's dry. And
Right. You know, I always talk about the idea of a revolving door. You know, people are so focused on getting new people through the door that they're not paying attention when that revolving door keeps swinging around, that they're losing customers all the time. And so it's well documented that it costs 5 to 10 times the amount of money to get a new customer than it does to retain one that you currently have. So I always tell people the lowest hanging fruit in marketing is trying to reduce the amount of attrition that you have. And they've studied it, so if you could reduce attrition by, I think they say like 5 or 10%, that literally equates to a profitability increase of like 25 to 30%.
and if you've ever approached a new client and you're trying to crack into that company and they have a preferred vendor or something and they're doing these kinds of things, it's almost impossible. I trust this person.
Right.
They do the little things.
Right.
They, you know, they're feeding them the jambalaya.
Right. Right.
You know, and it's, you know, they've got to screw up before you, or you've got to have something totally different.
Right.
You got to bring something else to the table. If you're going to play in that playground, you got to have something different.
Right.
So, along these lines, the next ingredient, a splash of loyalty.
Loyalty, yeah. So this is kind of hand in hand with retention, but giving those little things, if they're meaningful to the customer, you're gonna generate customer loyalty, and you're gonna get people to come back, and hopefully bring people with them. But it's all about kind of generating that loyalty.
Well, yeah, there's always going to be people who are shopping for price, and there's going to be people, and this is going to lead into the next ingredient, but there's going to be factors in their purchase that you can't control. Just some people are, I just want the lowest price.
Right.
And other people just want the highest price because they want the Cadillac, whatever it is.
I think they say I think it's somewhere in the 20%, like 24% of people shop just on price. And I tell you what, they're not people that you want as your customer because they're going to leave you in a heartbeat.
Exactly.
So it's got to be more about price, and this leads into the next thing, is it needs to be all about value.
And there is the fifth ingredient.
Right, because price is relative. I don't mind paying as long as I feel like I'm getting something in return. And
value is something you got to live too, because sometimes when you're trying to sell people, you're trying to sell the value. That's a mountain to climb. But once they are working with you, right, that's where the rubber hits the road.
Right.
And you have to live the value. You've got to provide the value, because you can tell them all about it and they'll sign and do one project with you.
Right.
But if they're not getting bang for their buck, if they're not getting good value, this is not changing their, fulfilling the need they want and maybe a little bit more.
Right.
That's when they're going to be like, well,
right,
what do these guys have?
Right. And I think, especially in the last couple of years, as the economy's been difficult, I like to say that, values become like the new black. So, it's saving and getting a good price on something, or more importantly, a good value for what you pay for. People are becoming more and more like value-nistas. They're looking for that good value and they expect it. So values become kind of the new black.
You want good stuff at a good price.
Right.
Right? So luggage is a great example of this. Is you buy crappy luggage and before you know it, the wheel's falling off in the airport. You don't want to spend a mint on So if you can find that, spend a little bit more and get a good bag. It's going to last you. That's value.
It's going to go a long way.
And then what do? I will only buy Samsonite because it's so great. So value, value, value. Those are the ingredients of...
Yeah, so it's a little bit of everything. We were talking about it. There's very few things that you can do in business that wear the number of hats that a purple goldfish wears.
Yeah, it hits a lot of different... There's winning a client, there's retaining a client, the customer, whatever you want to call it. It's not just a one-dimensional thing.
Right.
So, all right, well, you got the ingredients. Go cook it up. All right, so we'll see you next time on the Purple Goldfish. Thanks for tuning in. Send us more Purple Goldfish. We're over halfway there, but we need more. So send them in. And marketinglandlab or purplegoldfish.com.
purplegoldfish.com. We'll see you next week.